is with us in Austin, Texas. Hi, Laura. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for taking my call today.
Sure. How can we help?
Well, I have two adult daughters, one my husband and I do, 34 and 35. And the 35-year-old is married and lives in Colorado. And a year ago, October, we were going to go take a trip up to see her. But due to the pandemic and our very different views on masking and social distancing and all of that, it ended up, we had a heated conversation, and she has cut us out of her life completely. So we got a letter from her the following day, an email saying, we're all done. She wouldn't have anything to do with us. She changed her number, changed her email, and all cards and correspondence have been returned unopened. So I waited a whole year, and I have a will. We have a will. We both have wills. Basically, it's a 50-50 for our girls. But given where we're at now, I'm like, I don't feel comfortable if I were to die tomorrow to leave that daughter money if she won't even contact me or take my calls. And I don't know how to handle that, whether I should. Is it appropriate for me to change my will, or should I look at it like I'm not going to be here, I won't know anything about that, just leave it and move on?
I'm so sorry.
I waited a year because it's like a death.
No, it is. It's worse than a death because
Yes.
they're still there.
Yes.
In a sense.
And our other daughter just got married 2 weeks ago, and she, struggled because her sister had cut her out as well a few months before us. So
wait a minute, your other daughter just got married and her sister didn't come to the wedding?
No.
I'm so sorry.
No, and she didn't invite her because she knew that the invitation would have come back.
I see.
Unopened.
Okay.
So we have not been able, unless we drove 1,000 miles to Colorado from Texas, we would never. She just returns everything, says refused, return to sender. So we can't get anything to her.
All over a mask and social distancing. Both of which have turned out to not be true after the smoke cleared. It's just so sad.
It is, and we couldn't hug her, and that was our thing. We said, well, if we can't hug our daughter when we come there, we don't see the value in us coming. We want to see you and hug you, and it's been 2 years. Let's get together, and it just wasn't going to be.
Yeah, fear is a sad thing.
Yes.
The terror that took over people's mental ability to do. The number of these stories out there is just staggering. It's one of the huge costs of the mythology that was out there in the name of science, and the cost of people believing one thing and not believing another. It's just so sad. Just so sad.
It is. It is, and it shouldn't.
Your heart. I mean, as a mom, your heart must be just completely broken. So
it is.
What you have to do for you, not because it's an ethical thing or a moral thing, it's a part of your grieving process, is you have to change your will.
Okay. I'm comfortable with that.
No, it's not about me. That's you admitting what has happened.
Right.
In the Jewish culture, you'll hear them say, "You are dead to me. You are dead to me."
Yes.
And it goes back to the story that happened in Jewish culture that Christians call the story of the prodigal son. And you are dead to me. And so dead means that the person is still alive, but there's no longer any financial or relational interaction anymore. And in the Jewish culture, if you don't have a financial interaction and you don't have a relational interaction, it is worse than a death. And so it comes from the mindset of the prodigal son. And that's what the prodigal son did. He came in and took the inheritance before his father died and went and squandered it, right? You know the story.
I do.
And so, but that there's a reason for all of that in that culture. And it's a mental health reason, and it's for you to process the loss of your daughter.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
It
Yeah, though,
it
just
has been hard.
the changing of the will is just a part of you grieving and recovering from this. If it changes, you can always come back. If the situation changes, you can always come back and change it later. And you're not doing this to punish her because she's not even going to know it. You know,
I
and
know. I think that's the thing you think about is, well, when I'm gone and she would find out that she got
that's her.
nothing.
That's the cost of doing business the way she's done business.
Okay.
And it's
All right.
but that's not relevant. This is not about punishment, and it's not about revenge, and it's not about vengeance. It's not about hitting back for the hurt. This is about closing the loop, closing the storyline. And if we can open the storyline later, that is fine. But it would not be. It's not good mental health for you to leave the will dangling as a false hope in your mind, and that's what it's doing.
Oh,
To throw this in there, I would just offer a bit of a challenge. Even if the will is changed, I think it'd be easy at that point to just go, this story is done and she's cut out of my life and I want nothing to do with her. And then sit with anger and unforgiveness. I think that especially if the will is changed, in order to get to the story of the prodigal son and be like that father, you have to have a heart of forgiveness so that if the daughter ever comes back, you receive her with open arms. So I would just encourage you to also still work through those emotions and the hurt and the anger that comes from whatever argument there was and work on forgiving that daughter so that if the story continues at some point, you're ready for it and you can have a relationship again.
Yeah, and again,
okay.
that's what I'm saying. Your motivation is not about hitting back. Your motivation is not anger based. It's just sadness. And it's going. This is the recognition that she's not in our life, and so it's illogical, and it's bad psychology and bad spiritual to leave her in there at this point. But it's not. It hasn't really got anything to do with her. It's got to do with you. And that's kind of what
Yes.
that's what forgiveness is as well. What Christine's talking about. I mean, that's got to do with you, not her, because she's not receiving anything. Because you're not talking to her. There's no way to get to her, and you can't. And no, I'm not going to show up on her front porch and confront her cutting. I mean, she made this decision. She's a grown up. You cannot control other people's decisions, and you didn't cause it. You just disagreed. I mean, people disagree about politics and don't speak for the rest of their lives. They disagree about a piece of furniture and don't speak for the rest of their lives. And this is, it's just so low shelf. It's not a very high shelf way of living.
But it would be sad for the relationship to end permanently over COVID and mask restrictions.
But this is not up to her. It's up
Right,
to her daughter.
right.
She didn't end it. Her daughter did.
That's true. But just having the heart of forgiveness so that
I'm just sitting there open. That's fine.
Yeah.
If it comes back, open. Be open-handed.
Yeah.
If they come back, but you cannot make people like you. You cannot make people behave. You cannot make people be nice. You can't make people grow a brain that don't have one. You can't. You just can't. You just have to accept them where they are and just go, that's forgiveness. I'm just going to let you be what you is. And then if you ever want to be something different, we'll talk about that too. That's okay. But yeah, this is a dangling thing in your psychology. It's hanging back there. You think about it when you wake up in the morning, and changing the will puts more closure on this and allows you to move on past this loss that's very real. And hang on, we're going to send you a copy of Dr. Deloney's book, Own Your Past, Change Your Future. I cannot think of hardly anything that would be more hurtful and harmful to have to go through than that. And it is in many ways worse than a death. I'm so sorry you're facing this.